You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know I be talking about him dirty, right? And how you got to watch his ass, bro, because he get stabbed all the time and all this other shit, you know? But when he was at the PI, you know what I mean? I heard that he was at the front desk. I had to pull up on my man. But me being the same person I am, I'm like, damn, bro, you done caught some more staff, nigga, because he had like a bandage on his eye like Nelly, you know what I'm saying? So I'm still fucking with him. And he was like, oh, man, why you always fucking with me, bro? I'm like, man. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Brick Brother Podcast, man. If you're new to our channel, you already know what to do, man. Like, share, and subscribe, you know. If you're back again, bro, you already know, man. Just sit back and watch what we do best. Let's get it.
All right. UFC 314 is right around the corner. Time to give out some predictions. It's a pretty star-studded card, too. I'm liking what I see. You know, sometimes the pay-per-views, you know, don't be living up to the hype. I think this one that's going to live up to the hype. Some good, great fights on there. So let's just start with the main event. Alex Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Who you see winning, and how do you think it gets done?
I think it's a fun fight. I think we talked about it before, but just a little recap. You know, I think Diego. You know, even though this is gonna be his toughest fight with Volkanovski, I do believe that Diego does give some, you know, some threatening tools. You know, with him being young, with him being on, you know, such a momentum, you know, and him getting a great opportunity of becoming a world champion, right? You just got a different drive, got a different hunger. And Volkanovski, right, he done it all. You know what I mean? He kind of already submitted his name as one of the best, you know, featherweights around, you know, and, you know, not saying like he still ain't hungry, right, or like he wouldn't want to reclaim that belt, but, you know, yet again, bro, it just hit different, bro, when you really just trying to do it for the first time. So with that being said, bro, I'm going to go with Diego, you know what I'm saying? So, but if Alexander Volkanovski is able to survive a couple of those, you know, rounds early, because that's the only way I can see Diego getting it done is, you know, by a second round finish or something like that. I can see Volk using this experience, man, and kind of taking it to a decision, but I don't think Volk is going to survive this one. I ain't gonna lie.
I have Alexander Volkanovski win this fight. I think as long as Volkanovski still has a chin, we've seen, you know, a chin tested a little bit recently, obviously in the Islam Makhachev
back to back
the fights, and then fighting against Topuria. I think the size discrepancy between Islam and himself is just such a big thing that does play a factor. Volkanovski's pretty small for 155. I know he's dense and, you know,
came from heavyweight down there.
Very, very compact, but, you know, just that size discrepancy, especially getting caught with the kick. We talk about reach, oftentimes discussed when we don't. We talk about, you know, the length with the, you know, from arms, but we sometimes neglect the difference in the legs, you know, being able to kick somebody from a further reach. And that plays a big factor, being at that kicking range. And they already fought each other. And then Topuria, who just, in my opinion, probably, I don't know, probably top 3 right now as far as just pure boxing ability in the UFC and power. We saw what he did to Holloway. Ain't nobody really been able to cleanly put out Holloway.
If I ain't put myself in the list, man, I say my man number 1 for real with the boxing.
He up there, you know? He up there, for sure. Very, very sharp striking, especially with the hands. But my point being is, you saw what he did to Holloway as well. Topuria, you never saw nobody do that to Max Holloway. He ended up, you know, Dustin, you know, had him rocked and hurt, but Dustin fight at 55. So to see what Topuria has been able to do in his power and how that translates, I'm going to say it's an anomaly, right? I'm going to say that's something that probably would not happen again. And I think that Diego Lopes' submission skills are really high, and his power is really good, but I don't think he's the sharpest with his striking to set that up. And I think his wrestling leaves something to be desired, and I think Volkanovski is going to be good enough to not get submitted and not get knocked out. I think Volkanovski is going to end up finishing Diego Lopes.
Okay, I like that. No, but I can agree with that one too, but I feel like it's not the sharpness of Diego I'm talking about. He reckless, but he dangerous, right? You know what I mean? And you can't try to fight safe with dudes like that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got to be ready to knock their ass out, right? Or you got to literally be all the way out the way, you know? And the thing about Volkanovski, he is the shorter fighter, right? He doesn't have the size advantage on dude, right? But he going to have to bite down on that mouthpiece. And I do believe that, you know, Alex Volkanovski got the skill sets, right, to put out Diego. But at the end of the day, though, it's just like, what is his tactic? Like, you know, how is he going to come into this fight? Because if he just playing on leg kicking Buddy and shit like that, he going to eat that shit and, like, Buddy going to turn his lights off. That's what I see.
No, I can see a world where that happens, especially that chins might be diminished. It might be damaged goods. I hate to say that about somebody who I respect so much in the game, but it just happens as part of the business. But I would just say, and I said this in the previous video we kind of talked about before, I never gave my official prediction. But I think Volkanovski has seen Diego Lopes in some capacity before. I think he's seen very powerful guys, and he's done really well. I think he's seen high volume strikers before, and I think he's seen guys who are really, really amazing when it comes to the jiu-jitsu, like a Brian Ortega. I don't know that Diego Lopes has ever seen anybody with the well-roundedness, the speed, the power, the precision, the distance management, and just cage control of Alexander Volkanovski. But as guys get older and that chin gets tested, people diminish. But I think if we see vintage Volk, I think this should be an easy fight for him, relatively speaking. To beat Max Holloway 3 times is crazy. Like, yeah. Number 2, I think it's the co-main event. Is Bryce Mitchell versus John Silva.
That's going to be fun.
I'm very excited for this fight. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, but, give our official thoughts.
I think it's gonna be a good fight, especially with Bryce Mitchell being extra motivated for this one. You know what I'm saying? Fighting off demons in his sleep and shit like that, boy. Like, he definitely ready to get up in that cage, man, and be the demon slayer with John Silva. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but he went viral talking about he couldn't go to sleep because he was fighting demons, and the demons wanted him to lust and cheat on his wife and all this other shit. So yet again, got all the motivation in the world, bro. So with that being said, man, I think Bryce Mitchell, crazy enough, bro, put in the Lord's name, he gonna get it done. Yep, a couple of Bible verses, he gonna read it, you know what I'm saying? Matthew 27, he gonna get to work.
Bryce Mitchell is a religious man, and sometimes God give you what you want, just not how you want it. And he might get that sleep he looking for right in the middle of the octagon in front of 100,000 people, or however many people fit in that, 25, 30,000 people, and that just might happen. God to give you what you want. You gotta be careful what you ask for now. And I see that probably happening. Bryce Mitchell is a great fighter, no disrespect. I never come with disrespect. I just come with my opinion. If you bet on this fight, you take my advice. If you lose, it ain't my fault. I'm just saying what I think. I can see a world where Bryce Mitchell gets knocked out. We've already seen him struggle against really good strikers who have wrestling defense. The fight nerds, they seem to be pretty smart. They seem to have a really good distance management. I think as much as John Silva playing to the crowd, he take this shit seriously, and he not going to play with him. There's a huge discrepancy in the striking department between one competitor to the other. I'm just looking at skill for skill. If I'm Bryce Mitchell, my advice would be hit him in the face, hit him hard, make him think it's going to be a striking fight, and whenever when he do some flashy stuff, remind him that it's an MMA fight. Get him to his back. Do what you do best. Don't try to go out there, be egotistical. That should get you knocked out.
100%.
And I could see a world where Bryce Mitchell is too eager to prove that,
I can stand and bang too. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no... See, this one thing that we don't talk about enough in MMA. Ego ain't got shit to do with this. It ain't pride. It ain't ego.
You're trying to get the bag, bro.
Whoever comes most prepared with the best skill set to go against another fighter on that day, on that particular night, or whatever the fighter is planning on doing. It's strategy against strategy and skill versus skill and preparation versus preparation. That's what it is. So no matter how much you want it, you got to be prepared to implement a game plan that's going to be effective and advantageous to your style. And if I'm Bryce Mitchell, I'm getting this fight to the floor. If I can. And if he can't, I think it's going to be a very long and rough night for him. So I take John Silva.
Or short.
Yeah. He might get that sleep. Yeah. He been wanting a nap. He might get one. John Silva by Nickal. That's what I'm taking.
Okay.
And the next fight on the card, we have Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull.
Hey, that's great.
So that's a great introduction fight for those fans. You know, some guys didn't get a chance to watch Patricio Pitbull in Bellator, and what are your thoughts on that fight?
I think that's a dope fight. You know, you already know Pitbull was the last person to beat Michael Chandler before he left and got into the UFC. You saw, Michael Chandler making some noise, made a little name for himself in the UFC. So Pitbull looking at that as an opportunity, like, shit, now it's my turn, And with that being said, I like Pitbull's style, literally like the nickname that he got, very aggressive, fast pace, good on the ground, good with the hands, The only thing that I feel like he's going to have difficulties with is the length of Yair, you know what I mean, and incredible, you know, like I said, dynamic style of Yair with those kicks and stuff. Because I don't think he's fought. If I can remember any particular Pitbull's fights, I don't never remember him fight somebody like Yair. You know, within the octagon, not the octagon, but in Bellator cage. So with that being said, man, it should be a fun one. Because at the end of the day, Yair has a bad tendency of breaking in some of his fights, bro. You know what I mean? And causes him to be in a situation where if it's not going his way, he will, you know, wither away and shit like that. And, you know, he will have to get lucky, you know what I'm saying, just to be on autopilot and just happen to do a spinning wheel kick and just catch, you know what I'm saying, Pitbull. Because he has done that before.
I know exactly. Look, you took one of my major points. Who you taking officially, and then
I got you. I'm gonna go with Pitbull for this one. I'm gonna go with Pitbull with this one.
I agree exactly with what you're saying. Yair Rodriguez is probably the most talented dude that one of the most talented dudes. He has a great guard. His wrestling's pretty good. Fantastic striking, dynamic. You talk about creativity. You know, we talked about that recently. As creative as they come, but boy, does he have a tendency to like being a hammer and not being able to sustain being a nail. It seems like when things just start to go the opposite direction for him, he does wither a little bit and finds a way to, you know, not get the victory and not finish. But Patricio Pitbull, he's 37 years old. He's making his debut pretty late in MMA. Traditionally, I do think this is a style, too, with how aggressive and how explosive Patricio Pitbull is. Yair does have a lot of trouble with this style, but the fact that he's much older in age, and MMA is just kind of a young person.
How old is he now, if you know?
Patricio Pitbull is 37. Let me check.
Damn, I ain't know that. I ain't know he was 37. God damn.
I double check, but I'm pretty sure he's
hit me with that Kevin Hart nigga. Damn.
Right. Hell no, but yeah, I think he's 37 years old. Let me double check. Yeah, 37 versus 32. And then just the reach discrepancy: 71-inch reach for 65-inch reach. Yeah. If you're better, you know that reach and age just two very large factors that tend to have an implication on the fight. Right. So me just blindly looking at it, I would have to take Yair Rodriguez. Okay. Also, just him, like I said, getting on the inside range on them kicks. That's gonna be. He have to be downhill the whole time. Yep. He gonna have to work. He can't play any type of distance. He gonna be downhill all day. I don't care if it's left or right, but he gonna have to be downhill. It's a driving kind of fight. Yep. And if he tries to find the outside, it's just not gonna be to his advantage. If he can get a takedown and kind of, you know, he's a good grappler too. You got good ground and pound as you talked about. But if I had to pick, I probably lean towards Yair. I can see Yair getting a good decision out this one. Okay. Then we had a cancel fight on the main card.
All these cancels.
I know, right? This is shaping up to be a pretty dope card. Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates.
Yeah, they everybody tagging me and telling me, Buckley, man, say the card. Like, nigga, fuck y'all.
Save it for what?
But no, I was excited for that one, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. I was excited for that one. Just to see how Prates was gonna do, because I know exactly how good Jeff Neal is. But when you get these other guys, these newer guys that come into the promotion, you just don't know yet, right? And that would have been a good test for me to see that. Because like I said, for me, I'm hunting after that title, but don't get it twisted. We ain't ducking nobody. But a lot of people are so stupid, right? I don't want to fight young and upcoming talent now, right? I want to fight them once I get the belt and I'm able to sell pay-per-views. And people be like, man, Buck, all you care about is money. Yes, nigga. Yes.
He's a capitalist.
100%, man. And I see that with Prates and how he's working, man, and how he's moving up the ranks and him being a part of the Fight Nerds. And that's a big team. That's a massive team that's doing numbers. Like, the biggest numbers that we can do is for that title, you know? And with him fighting Jeff Neal and beating a person like Jeff Neal, right? You're not that far away from, you know what I'm saying, fighting somebody now in the top 5, you know, in my personal opinion. Because I think Jeff Neal would have been, 8, 10, something, whatever he is, you know what I'm saying? But now you in the mix. You for sure in the mix now, right? Where now you can fight dudes like, you know, Wonder Boy, Ian Gary, or whoever, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like those would have been good fights as well for them to make. But because this fight then fell out, I don't even see them like replacing somebody else, right? I can see him, you know, just waiting and getting pushed back to fight another person. And I'm very intrigued on who they're gonna try to throw at him.
I'm trying to look up his ranking, but forget all that. My point on this fight is, as impressed as I am with Carlos Prates, there's a couple things, reason why that fight between you and him don't make sense. He hasn't really had very many fights in the UFC, to be quite honest. He's only had, I think, 4 fights in the UFC. He's been impressive in all of his fights, that's fine. And I think a lot of people, if before they would ever say that you were ducking somebody, should be reminded on your way to the place where you are now, you were calling everybody. Like, I don't know how many people you called out in your time in the UFC. Still. Probably the most call-outs of anybody. You wanted to fight everybody.
I'm still trying to
You tried to fight Pereira back in the day.
Yeah.
Just the names go on and on and on, and you never ducked anybody. So my thing is, there's a difference between wanting the fruits of your labor and wanting to fight fights that make sense because you've already taken those calculated risks. You fought Nursen Ruzaboyev, who wasn't really anywhere in the sphere in his first fight at welterweight when you already had some steam. You've already done that numerous times. You're supposed to fight Ian Gary. They say do Kobe Covington instead. You said sure, why not? So my point being is you haven't ducked anybody. You've only starting to be advantageous, being very strategic now because you know we're close to the finish line of doing something that makes sense. You know, going to go get a title, but for me, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. It's not fear because I know you don't fear anybody, and also
with my nigga Aaron Puffin, we were running with anybody on this earth. That's on my mama. I gotta catch them all like Pokemon.
Right? We want it all. But the last part I say about Prates, as good as he is, it's not like I think he's unbeatable. Like that's some but that's some fans understand. Like what we do, we remove the mystique around fighters. First off, that's the first thing we do when we break guys down. It's not magic. It's just punches and kicks. They're successful for certain reasons. Let's figure out why, and let's work around that. And I've looked at, you already know, us in the team, we've looked at pretty much anybody relevant. I've already looked at it. I already have a general idea of what you do and why you're successful. I'm sure he could have been successful against Jeff Neal. I'm sure Jeff Neal could have been successful against him. They're both great fighters. But after that, once you get to a certain level, everybody's really good. All these guys are really good, but it doesn't matter. Somebody's gonna beat everybody, and somebody's gonna, everybody's gonna eventually lose. It's gonna happen. Leon looked unbeatable. People now saying, "Oh, Leon."
Now you're screwed.
Oh, Leon was overrated.
Which I've been saying that shit.
Leon was overrated. But then everybody was saying Kobe was the man before that. Oh, he's the second greatest welterweight of all time. If it wasn't for Kamaru Usman, he would have been welterweight champion. Now Kobe lost a few fights. Now Kobe sucks. Yeah. It's like you just have to realize all of them could have lost at the beginning of the time. Now Kamaru Usman sucked. Y'all saying he was better than GSP, and I was arguing with people for years. But now he sucks because he lost a few fights. No, everybody's really, really good. Once somebody exposes the hole, other people expose the deficiency too, and then other people just follow the same plan. It just happens all the time in MMA. So my thing for Prates, that fight between you and him, if that was to happen, it'd be fine. It's just we just want something forward, not backward, and I think that makes more sense.
And I'm gonna say this again. With this being said, all the guys that you talking about, right? Everybody killers.
Of course.
But why would I fight them for less?
Yeah, you want that money.
I want that bread. Especially if he's still knocking dudes out, I want him even more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't me like, oh no, I'm trying to shy away from him. Like, no. Once I get my belt, he's still knocking dudes out, bring that ass here. You know what I'm saying?
You want whatever's gonna get you to your destination sooner. And if you're still there, I definitely want you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that make the fight even bigger.
Make it even bigger.
But my question is, Sean Brady just beat Leon Edwards, right? You be in practice. They don't make you jump the ladder.
Nah, don't do nothing.
Because all they gonna say, look, because I already know what they gonna say. Prates ain't beat nobody. He beat Neil Magny.
Then once I knock his ass out,
he beat Jingling. That's all they gonna say. That's all they gonna say. He ain't beat nobody.
And that'd be a waste.
You already know how it go. So that's why I don't even care. Because that's just what the internet does, and that's what fight fans do. But moving forward, we can do more predictions because this whole card is actually pretty cool. You got Nikita Krylov versus Dominic Reyes.
Nikita, who Nikita? I'm dead ass. I don't know that name.
He fought in UFC a long time. You go ahead and look at him.
Yeah, let me look at him.
Yeah, go ahead and take a look.
I know who the other one. Yeah.
I could
okay, I know. Yeah.
I could lead us off. Krylov is somebody, who's had an up and down career in the UFC, similar. I won't say similar, but also somebody, who's won some fights, lost some fights. Dominic Reyes is in the perfect position. I think this fight makes a ton of sense as far as things go. I like to think Dominic Reyes will bounce back, shape back into form, and be able to win. I'm going to say by decision. I'm going to take Dominic Reyes.
Okay, that's what's up, man. I'm going to go with you with that one, too. Is this Because I know he won his last fight against Jacoby. Was that his first fight that he won back?
Dominic Reyes?
Yeah.
I think
Okay,
so.
okay. That was his
First
first
one
fight. Okay.
I
So he
double
hasn't
checked.
fought again.
Nah, I don't think so. I think,
No. This one makes sense.
Oh, no. He on a 2-fight win streak. We forgot he beat Anthony Smith.
Yeah.
We totally forgot.
Yeah,
My bad. I put some respect on it. He wanted to win 3 in a row. That's my opinion.
There
I think
you
this
go.
fight makes total sense. Krylov is a good fighter too, though. It could go anybody.
Mhm.
But I'm just rooting for Dominic Reyes. I like to see him kind of shape back into form. I think a lot of times when guys lose early in their career, we have this thing called hype train and this and that. And it's like he fought with if John Jones is the fighter everybody says he is, to have that type of performance, whether you win or lose,
Yeah.
that's a legendary performance. You
Yeah.
having John Jones arguably toughest fight in MMA.
Mhm.
I think he did better than Gustafsson, in my personal opinion.
Mhm.
That's John Jones' toughest match, and for him to do that, to see him come back to form, be competitive with the best ranked guys, I think it's good for the 205 division, and I think it'd be a good story for MMA. So I'm rooting for Dominic Reyes.
Shout out to him.
Then we have Dan Ige versus STO. STO's own Sean Woodson, the STO's
Okay, there you go, Sean. Big name. This is a ranked fight too.
So what are your thoughts on that one?
My thoughts, man. Sean do what he do. I think Dan Ige. I know Dan. From Extreme Couture. Good dude. Tough motherfucker too. But I think Sean Woodson got the tools to beat Dan. Just fight the way that he fights. Stay outside of range. Don't let Dan Ige, fight in the pocket. Don't let him push you up against the cage. And it should be a good fight for him. But if you do allow Dan Ige to do what he do, they call him 50K for a reason. So my thing is, Sean Woodson just uses weapons, man. Stay long, stay to the outside, bro, and just fight the fights how you do all the time, and he'd be just fine.
No, I agree. I see this fight very similar to you. I think Dan Ige is as tough as they come. You won't find a more professional fighter on the roster. Take a fight on 1 day notice.
No, shit,
great.
What do you say? A minute notice, bro.
Right? Great fighter, very well prepared, super tough. But he's not unbeatable. Of course, we've seen Dan Ige lose before. I think Sean Woodson is just a bad stylistic matchup for him. I think there's a lot that Dan Ige could do to improve his chances. But I think with Sean Woodson having that type of reach advantage, I just looked it up. I want to say it's a 7-inch reach advantage. Having that type of size advantage and being as accurate as Sean Woodson is with his strikes, it's going to be a tough night for Dan Ige. He's, like I said, again, another
tough dude, though.
Downhill kind of fight. You got to be just willing to put that forehead down and try to get into range and take some risk and gamble. And every time you do that and you're unsuccessful, it just lends yourself to either being knocked out or being picked apart. Sean moves well laterally. Uses good kicks and distance management. I just see it's a tough match. I won't say Dan Ige can't do it, but I think Sean wins by decision. I think so. Yeah. I think it's pretty tough to get Dan Ige out of there, but I see a decision.
Yeah, No, I see a decision. I don't see Sean knocking him out, though.
We got Jan. I can take this one if you want to. You can still give a prediction. I know you don't really watch the ladies fight like that. It's okay.
Yeah. I don't be watching those.
You got Jan Xiaonan, Featherweight Title contender, taking on Verena Jandiroba. Thoughts on that one? I give my take. I think I'm gonna give it to Yan Xiaonan by decision. Just saying, like I said, I've said it before. Yan Xiaonan fight against Weili Zhang, and then how well she looked in her last fight. I thought Tatiana was gonna give Weili trouble, and she didn't give her really any trouble at all. To see what Yan did and actually making that fight very interesting and competitive. I think that speaks to the level she is, and I think that she beat Tabitha Ricci her last fight as well.
I ain't gonna lie to you. Zane probably gonna see her again.
Yeah. So I'm a Dreda Jandiroba. Her jiu-jitsu is stellar. It's just that striking. It's a big striking discrepancy between them two.
She gonna keep it on the feet if that's the case.
Yeah, and I don't think Jan's easy to take down. So I'm gonna give it to Yan Xiaonan. I'm gonna say by decision, but I can see her getting a TKO too.
Okay. Good money.
You like, yeah, that's good. And then we got an interesting one. We got Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper.
Oh, what? That's crazy, bro.
Well, Chase Hooper trying to be on his Legends tour. You know, he just finished Clay Guida last time.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And now he fighting Jim Miller.
Trying to be the legend killer too.
Trying to get him out of there. So how do you see that fight going?
No, that's a fun matchup right there. Jim Miller, man, how old is Jim Miller again, bro? 42.
Gotta be up there, man. 41.
41. All right.
You like, yeah.
Yeah, again, right. But you know, you can't never count out Jim Miller, bro. But I'm gonna have to give it to Chase Hooper, bro. I'm gonna have to give it to him, especially because you know this is changing the weight class. He been undefeated in this weight class thus far, right? At 155.
Yeah, I think so.
I believe so. Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's just Chase's little time right now. So I don't know. I don't think he finishes Jim Miller. You know, I don't see him finishing him on the ground. I don't see him finishing him, on the feet. But I do see, a good competitive fight with Chase Hooper getting his hand raised. So.
You know what? This is an interesting one. I have a hard time really breaking this down. Age isn't on Jim Miller's side. The reach isn't on Jim Miller's side. But some reason I could just see Jim Miller being able to, because I feel like the striking is fairly even between them two.
More likely, probably.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And both of them are really good at jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim Miller's just one of those dudes who finishes people. I can see Chase Hooper trying to finish Jim Miller and getting finished himself. I can just see it. I can literally
ground and pound action.
I can just see it happen. Him getting guillotined or him getting cut. I would like for Chase Hooper to continue. I think Jim Miller has had his time, but I could just see this being a tougher match than Chase Hooper anticipates. I don't know. I don't know if he has a striking elite enough to give Jim Miller the problems he has.
Right.
And I don't know if his wrestling is farther enough along to be able to take Jim Miller down and control him. I think it's going to be a striking match. That's just my personal opinion. And it's flip a coin, in my opinion. I don't think anybody is way better than the other. So I don't really feel safe in this pick. But if I just had $20, I'm sure Jim Miller's probably an underdog. If I had to throw it on a dog, why not Jim Miller? He's one of them dudes who's just kind of good for it. I think he got the most wins in the UFC or something like that. Jim Miller just kind of a crafty dude, finds a way to get it done. Won his last fight against Damon Jackson too. I'm gonna go with Jim Miller by by TKO. Some other good fights on there. We'll leave the prelims to where they're at.
Okay.
Just moving forward. Just some random questions I got for you.
Hit me with them.
What are some of your MMA pet peeves? Right? Things that people say, things that people do. It could be media. It could be some of the stuff that fighters say. It could be fallacies that fighters push. Some of your MMA pet peeves. I could lead you off if you want me to give an example.
Oh, no, I get what you're saying. But
if
you want to, go on.
Yeah, but I'll give you time to think. I came prepared. I wrote these, so give you a second. One of my biggest pet peeves is sometimes with commentary, they just say things that is not true. I understand it's really difficult to do the job of saying things on a moment's notice and reacting to fighters. And this one, people probably gonna give me shit in the comments. I don't care. Come for me if you want to. Doesn't matter. When Daniel Cormier, when he says, guys need to switch to single legs and double legs don't work. It just can be further from the truth. It's one of the silliest takes. Daniel Cormier is 1,000 times a better sport wrestler than me, accomplished way more than I could ever hope to accomplish. But the reason why it bothers me is because do you feel like fighters are not taking guys down with double legs because double legs don't work, or because there might not be the best at setting up double legs, because they're not really great wrestlers themselves. And then the last one, the setups aren't great. A lot of people go to a double leg out of desperation. They're not going to a double leg because they're setting it up with really good strikes. GSP is arguably the greatest MMA wrestler of all time. You can argue that. In the conversation with Khabib, GSP, there's a very short list that you could say better than George St. Pierre. He used the double leg. That's what he used primarily. Yes, he finished a single leg crackdown takedown, but he was a big double leg. Works very well.
Yep.
Merab Darvishvili takes everybody down. What does he use? A double leg. I don't understand why to push a fallacy just because you see guys can't do it. Most people miss head kicks. They miss 1,000 head kicks a fight.
Right.
I mean, it's one of my biggest pet peeves.
So my biggest pet peeve, I guess I would say, is when guys are getting into an altercation. right? And they got the cameras on like this and like, man, you pussy, you bitch, and all this other shit, man. Your mama's a hoe and all this other shit. But then when the cameras ain't around, hey, what's up, bro? Like, what's up, man? Like, you know, that's my biggest pet peeve right there, bro.
Happens every day.
And it's I guess a perfect example I can give, like when Ilya Taporia and Paddy seen each other, they gave it. But they didn't have the whole beef and altercation. Like, I don't get that. Like, y'all like each other, y'all don't like each other. Like, what's going on, bro?
I don't remember if I said in this video or a different video, we got great athletes. These guys really don't be no fighters like that. Yeah. And what I mean is, Taporia obviously is a real fighter, but they want to fight and get paid. These guys are not trying to just fight to fight like most.
And that's the thing. It's okay to like not have to put your hands on somebody, but like keep the same energy, like the same, like, you know what I'm saying, like decorum, as you might say, like if you came with that heat, then still bring that heat. Like when I see you outside, no matter what, like we ain't finna be or trying to avoid each other. Like I know he over there, but I'm over here. I'm gonna do. Just act like he ain't there. Like, nah, bro. Like, I just can't stand it. Like, okay, like when I was at the PI, right? I already talked about it with you, but you know what I mean? Just to get, because we got it on camera. Like, but you already know I call out everybody, right? But when I see these people, because I'm going to eventually see them, like, I don't, like, try to, like, I speak to them. Be like, what's good, bro? You know what I'm saying? What's the word, bro? Y'all know that shit you seen me talking, you know what I mean? Like, what's the word? But these motherfuckers just do not want to give me any type of interaction, whatever. So speaking on a person like Sean Brady, you know what I'm saying? Y'all already know I be talking about him dirty, right? And how you got to watch his ass, bro, because he gets staff all the time and all this other shit, you know? But when he was at the PI, you know what I mean? I heard that he was at the front desk. I had to pull up on my man. But me being the same person I am, I'm like, damn, bro, you done caught some more staff, nigga, because he had like a bandage on his eye like Nelly, you know what I'm saying? So I'm still fucking with him. And he was like, oh, man, why you always fucking with me, bro? I'm like, man, bro, because we fight, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, at the end of the day, bro, we got to promote this shit. But speaking of that, bro, why don't you unblock me, man, so we can promote a little something. You know, he get quiet, and now I'm the bully, you know what I mean? But you was talking all that shit on your podcast, right? Like, won't you talk that shit with me now that I'm in person and now I'm in face? But like you said before, man, a lot of people athletes, a lot of people martial artists. Everybody ain't fighters though, bro. That shit crazy.
And my opinion on that is most people are not crash out kings. You know, they didn't come from that culture. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like some of us, and I might be speaking about myself a little bit, I've come a very long way. And now the chance of me crashing out, very slim to none. I'm not finna fight nobody. But at a particular point in my life, I just wish somebody would, you know?
And I'm ready for somebody to press that button.
Yeah. But I feel like people don't come from that. They didn't grow up fighting. They didn't get into altercations, get in trouble, have ramifications behind that. And since you're a good fighter, you're used to scaring people because you could talk that mess and people get afraid, rightfully so, because you're a good fighter. But just so happens the other person you talking smack to also fights. So neither person is afraid, but now y'all talking that stuff like y'all's gonna do something, but y'all don't come from that. Because you don't have to be the best fighter to be a crash out king. We talk about some of that King Green. He mean that. He really is trying to fight people and stuff like that. Nate Diaz. I think Nate really is trying to fight. Everybody don't come from that culture, and it's cool. GSP didn't act like he was just ready to fight whatever. He wanted to get paid. He's an athlete, and that's cool. They don't take away from how good of a fighter you are. It's actually probably smarter that you don't want to crash out. Yeah. But just don't perpetuate that nonsense. And I get what you mean, because every time I see it.
All I'm saying is don't, all that shit you talking, just keep that same energy. And it ain't got to be about putting your hands on somebody. But don't try to avoid me and not try to have no conversation.
But that's the thing. They be talking.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, they be talking like they finna do something, though.
But I know they ain't finna do shit. But if you want to do something, let's do something.
Yeah. I agree.
That's the funniest part to me. But that's my biggest pet peeve, bro. I hate when niggas do that shit.
Yeah, I got plenty of them, but that's definitely up there. Yeah, I stick to the double leg thing though. No, there's plenty of them.
Of course.
Another one. Actually, I will give another one. I hate when commentators. I'm on commentators today.
Yeah, you on their ass.
But I hate when they say getting points. We have a 10-must system. There's no getting points. I'm like, oh man, he's doing a lot to get points for now. He's just going with the strikes and getting his. There's no points to be got. We had a 10-must system. It's like you either get 10 points, you
keep
9,
your shit, or you lose your shit.
Or if you do really bad, you get A. If you do even worse, you get a 7. There's no gaining points. Right. It could be the wackest fight of all time. Somebody's probably getting a 10. Somebody's most likely getting a 9 or less. So it's like no points to be gained. It's just a pet peeve of mine. I hate when they say it's like you can earn points. Like a leg kick is worth a certain amount of points. 100%. It's just a pet peeve of mine. And I think it pushes less of an understanding that you have to be doing something so significant to win a round when it's like you could just win a round barely. Every round isn't a landslide. Sometimes it's kind of close. It just happens. Random question, another one. If you were to start over from scratch, back to when you were a young buck, and you had to regain your skills. Maybe you're slightly different. You don't have maybe the same physical advantages that you have now. You just were a blank fighter. What disciplines would you put top on your list? What would you prioritize more between, obviously the big four, your wrestling, your boxing, your kickboxing, jiu-jitsu?
Funny enough, none of those. Content.
You said content?
Content, nigga. Been the influencer, nigga, TikTok. Would have got to the bag first, nigga, if I would have created this shit.
He said, I'm not going to answer your question at all.
No, that is answering your question.
He said, I would have been.
No, for real. Like, that, if I was a fighter, that's because people fail to realize that's a part of the game, too. People do fail to realize that literally is part of the game, bro. But, yeah, that's one thing that I would have worked on. But I feel like with the just the skill set of fighting overall, well, I started with wrestling, but I probably would have like matured with that still a little bit more is my wrestling. As much as I like to strike, as much as I like to knock dudes out, I know the power of wrestling and where it can take you. So yeah, the wrestling. I think I would have kind of matured that a little bit more and would have kept doing that.
So you play
wrestling above everything. Yeah.
Wrestling above everything else. And what do you think next for yourself?
Boxing. Yeah, wrestling.
There's been a lot of people just wrestling and boxing.
100%, 100%. And then I go taekwondo. For the dynamic kicks, a lot of people say like Muay Thai or some shit like that, but nah, I go taekwondo. Because of the stance and how you can utilize that. Or like we just giving like different disciplines all the way down the line.
You just give me 4. Just 4?
Okay, one more. So I got wrestling, boxing, taekwondo. I will go. A lot of people say jiu-jitsu. A lot of people say jits, but man, I don't like to play on my back, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
No, that's kind of a dead art, to be quite. Not jiu-jitsu, but that bottom.
Yeah.
Trying to put the guard.
This gonna sound crazy. It won't be the type of jiu-jitsu, but it's still catch wrestling. Catch wrestling.
I know exactly what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not a game that you play off your back. You know what I mean? You get dominant control and you try to finish somebody with the catch wrestling. So I say catch wrestling.
I agree. You see more of a catch wrestling sambo style that dominates more than just a pure jiu-jitsu. Even if the guys who are really good at jiu-jitsu, somebody like Charles Oliveira, he kind of tries to always be on top. He doesn't really prioritize being on the bottom and trying to throw up submissions. He has done that, but he's really transitioned to use his elbows and stuff from the bottom to aggravate guys to get on top. So I can run. I think I probably have a similar thing. Of course, I play wrestling number one. Just being able to dictate whether a fight is on the feet or on the ground is huge. So that's probably what I would start with. And then boxing, for sure. And then we got to work on some type of submission, something, whether it be coming from a sambo background or coming from a jiu-jitsu. And I think after that, you don't got to be a great kicker to be a great MMA fight, but any type, maybe Muay Thai.
But it's good. But it'd be good to have it in there though.
Yeah, no, it's very helpful. But I think that's the one thing that's like the least important. A lot of guys, though I look at it, if you're a really good kicker and you can't punch, a lot of times in MMA you getting destroyed.
It's who gave me a great example of that, but he got older though. So, but like Kung Lee had trash ass boxing, bro. Like his hands was trash, but his feet set up his hands. You know what I mean? So it's just like vice versa, the other way around. So even if you don't have the best kicks, your hands can set up your kicks, right? Even though you don't have the best kicks formally, you know what I mean? Like you can still put yourself in a position where if you distract them with your hands, then you can throw them kicks up. But my thing is, bro, if it's mixed martial arts, you want to be able to use all the assets of your body, you know what I'm saying? So from lower tier to upper body, you know what I mean? Whatever you can use as a weapon, that's what you want to do. Yeah.
I like that. We spoke about it before. I was just curious because we have had that rule change with the 12 to 6 elbows. Are you surprised that people aren't really using the technique more? I mean, it was like such an uproar for guys not to be able to use it, and then obviously the the infamous fight with John Jones and Matt Hamill. Are you surprised that people aren't really using that technique more to their advantage? Are you surprised it really hasn't had?
It really don't. In my personal opinion, it really don't have no like effect. Like when I really think about it, like when I can see like where you can aim or how you can throw it or where you can throw it from. It's just like the angle is just weird, you know. It's only a couple positions where you can hit. Like I can see like a crazy situation, you up against the cage, whatever, and you literally trying to climb up dude's body on some arm box shit, and just like, but you can't hit, you know, behind the head or the spine, but like you can hit right here towards the neck, you know, where I can see that move be effective. But other than that, but you got to realize you run the risk of getting your ass slammed though if you're doing all that. But you know, I don't know. I just don't see a lot of places where that move can be effective, right? Like truthfully, you know. So it's not that guys wouldn't be able to do it. It's just like I don't, you know.
What big changes it have? The only time I think is when
like a foot stomp to me, you know what I'm saying? Like for real, like what the fuck you doing?
The only time I think, and it just hasn't really played out yet. Because it's just a good angle for you to land it. And not saying it's even more powerful, but you know, elbows sometimes just fucking cut.
Yeah.
Where guys are just like really holding on for dear life and guard where they're trying not to get past, and you to be able to create a little space and be able to hit down, or when guys are just kind of hanging on the legs and trying, they're just giving you the side of their head and the back of it. You know, they try to play that game where they're trying to like hide their head a little bit, and we're like just on a leg and you could just kind of go down. But I agree with you. I don't understand why it was illegal in the first place. I don't really feel like it really gave that much of an advantage.
Talking about niggas breaking blocks of ice with the 12 to 6. Like, yeah, bro, that ain't going on. So you know, I'm glad that we have things like that. But I feel like what they should reintroduce, and the one got it right. It's football kicks, bro. Like straight punt a nigga head, bro. He around it. You gonna stay there? Boom! Like those are type. Like the closest we can make it to a fight, bro. You know, the better. You know, like a lot of people would say, you know, it will cause the sport to be a lot more dangerous, but it's already a dangerous sport. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like whatever rules they really feel like they can implement. I think that's one of them. You know?
Yeah. No, I would. I think even. I think like if you're both down two, like not being able to throw a knee is just kind of silly. Like
Pride used to have that, right?
Like if I'm down two, like why can't I throw my like?
Yeah, that's crazy.
What's the difference? You can throw an elbow. Elbows usually just kind of cut. Then I mean, I've heard Boss say this a bunch of times. Elbows usually don't knock people out.
No, they just cut. Yep.
You're just damaging somebody, not really hurting them as far as actual like getting them closer to being knocked out. You know, just making the fight uglier and you know kind of giving layers of damage, which I think it should be legal too. But I don't have a problem with the soccer kick thing too. It's like you can kick me standing. You know, you give the advantage to somebody who's obviously way better at throwing kicks on the feet versus you don't really have to be as skilled. But that's what being a fight is: ground and pound. It's just
and then well, I would say this too because I don't like the jits game as much, and those dudes like to play with feet. You know what I'm saying? That'll keep a jits dude from playing on the ground. Me being able to do them soccer kicks.
No, I know exactly. I think, and I know this is a hot take. I think if you're gonna break my leg, I should be able to kick you in the face. I don't understand why that's not like a thing. I should just like let you break my leg. Like I gotta play this spinning turnaround game. Like fuck, like I
turn the wrong way,
and then you don't know how to defend. Like some guys who are really good at it. I just gotta in real life. You're just gonna kick someone in the face.
Yes, exactly.
Like I'm literally standing with one leg free. I'm literally gonna kick you as hard as I can to the face.
Yeah.
To not allow
the axe kick. Yeah. Right on top of your dome.
Just I don't understand like why that's like I just gotta allow my leg to be broken. Like that's the same way. Like if I could slam you out of an armbar or a triangle, like it's
100% because you can slam somebody. Like so,
you're not supposed to just spike people in that. But if you're in a submission, you can.
Yes, you can.
They define that in the rules. You know, for you know.
So hopefully the UFC listening.
They ain't gonna change that based on what I said. And then we can play a game to close it out. You know, I've seen people play this before. I'm interested in your take. If you had to build the perfect fighter of the best fighter,
off of they like skill sets.
Yeah. But you know,
like starting from striking.
Striking, grappling, jiu-jitsu, chin, fight IQ, and cardio.
All right.
We do MMA fighters, and you can mention yourself if you
want
to.
Just say it out loud. The criteria, you know what I'm saying? What I need.
All right, striking.
Let me get old Anderson Silva.
I like that. Underrated. I feel like Anderson Silva is the greatest sniper in MMA history. I don't know if we've ever seen a better sniper. Grappling.
BJ Penn, and I'm gonna tell you why. Even though he didn't really utilize it within the cage, he still had the ability. You know what I'm saying? And his jiu-jitsu was cold, and I loved his wrestling as well. You know what I'm saying? So his overall grappling was just nasty.
I agree.
Yeah.
Great fighter. Pure jiu-jitsu.
Pure jiu-jitsu.
It said jiu-jitsu, so I'm gonna say pure jiu-jitsu.
Okay. Did you say grappling the first one?
Yeah. I said striking, grappling.
Okay, I got you. But pure jiu-jitsu. Who the one that got kicked out the UFC for life?
Oh, you talking about
that nigga.
Bruce Mapara?
I want that nigga. I want that nigga, boy. Turn your legs on. Exactly what we just talked about. Yeah. Yo, let me get him.
Hella funny. Yeah. We say chin.
Chin? Yeah. Marvin Tory meatball head ass. Yeah. But hey, that fight with Jared Cannonier, I swear to God, I thought he was gonna die. You know what I'm saying? That boy stayed in that fight. Yeah, so I'm gonna say Marvin Tory with the chin.
We said we go fight IQ.
IQ. Who's somebody that I really do think besides myself, I ain't put myself in it. Who I think is very intelligent in the game that don't get his real flowers. Funny enough, I know I was talking shit about him moving up. Topuria though. Topuria. He a smart dude. How he fight.
And then we got cardio.
Cardio. Murad.
I like that.
Yeah.
Great list.
Yeah. How about you, man? Where you at?
For striking.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one. Let me think. Cause I don't want to pick the same one as you, and I don't want to pick out of time. I feel like that's just too obvious. Who got some cold ass striking that I just like? I'm gonna say Jose Aldo.
Jose, you talking about 2010 Jose or 2020 Jose?
2010 Jose Aldo. I'm
okay.
gonna go Jose Aldo.
Okay.
For my grappling, I'm gonna go with got the best grappling. I'm gonna go GSP.
Like that.
I'm gonna go GSP.
Rush.
For my jiu-jitsu, I'm gonna go Damian Maia.
Okay.
For my chin.
Yeah.
Who's somebody I never? Francis Ngannou. I ain't never seen nobody spin Ngannou. And MMA, he ain't never been rocked.
I never thought about that. At heavyweight too?
Yeah, nobody close. He lost to Stipe. Him and Derek Lewis have to.
Yeah, they was just standing in front of each other.
Paint dry. But
okay,
nobody ever rocked him.
But he did get rocked in boxing though.
Yeah, that's different though. I agree with you saying. He got ticked to the king, but we talking about MMA. I think. Look, because my question is, I'm gonna ask
show was like, damn, you show right, but they're like, nah.
But my question is,
what's up?
If we had any MMA fighter fight a world champion boxer, who not getting knocked out?
You said who not getting knocked out?
Take yourself out of it. You take any MMA fighter. They're still gonna fight Bud Crawford.
Yes.
Tank Davis, because he didn't box regular boxers.
Right. He fought the best.
Yeah.
You talking about, Anthony Joshua and fucking
so
Tyson Fury.
I think anybody would have got it. I can't really say that's your chance. It's really your skills. You had no chance to win the fight. You're just gonna get knocked out regardless. Like
that's crazy, bro. You double down on that. I got it. Yeah,
I'm just saying for real. Like if you put Topuria against a top level boxer, he's gonna get knocked out too. We seen him knocked out in an MMA fight.
I got you.
So that's my thing. Or you put them against like some great kickboxer or something. You're gonna get knocked. You know what I'm saying? Like 90% of MMA wrestlers get knocked out too.
100%. I got you.
Fight IQ. I'm gonna go with GSP again on that one. And then for my cardio, there's one obvious answer. I think Frankie Edgar got the best cardio in MMA of all time. I've never seen him look tired in my life.
Shout out to the Hall of Famer now.
Yeah, never seen him look tired. Best cardio I've ever seen.
Okay, I like that. No, that's dope ass list. Yeah. So where we at right now? That's it.
We can talk about
Go ahead,
what we was talking about before. You know, Bo Nickal comments.
Oh yeah. Let's wrap on that because I do agree with him.
I couldn't disagree anymore. Bo Nickal said.
But did you hear what he said though?
Go ahead.
He said they best wrestlers. DC, wasn't one of the best wrestlers.
DC was he was an Olympic captain.
Listen to what I'm saying though. Who did he lose to though? Who was the big name that he lost to that everybody know about?
You talking Kel Sanderson in college,
right?
Well,
I think that's what he talking about.
Okay,
Bo Nickal, right?
Okay,
right.
But,
when he talked to that level.
Yeah, he said he don't feel like the best U.S. wrestlers are going to MMA. So Logan Storley didn't win the national title.
So that's what you see. You still doing it. He talking about like the Jordan Burroughs. You know what I'm saying? He talking about the David Taylors. He talking about like the Jaden Cox, the niggas that won gold for real for the shit, right? So Henry Cejudo probably be the only one, which is a great example because he did that shit.
But my point being is, Bo Nickal's one of the best college wrestlers. He's not one of the best international wrestlers. He was a high-level collegiate wrestler. He won a lot of titles for Penn State, right?
Okay.
So, like, he himself would be defying his own logic. What I'm saying is, yes, most of the guys who are just focused on wrestling who can win gold medals are not going to come over. But I thought he meant the best collegiate guys like Carter Stroud.
I didn't hear the whole thing. Yeah. I thought he said some of our best guys just throughout wrestling overall have not transitioned over to MMA, and that's why I could agree with him. You know, because you do have collegian guys that transition over to MMA, right? Especially if they ass can't make it to Worlds, you know, which Bo Nickal, nigga. He couldn't cut it, right? So that's why he came in transition over MMA.
I believe he's talking about the best American collegiate wrestlers transitioning. Okay. Because obviously we're talking about folk style wrestling, right? They don't do that in the Olympics and they're not doing that on World Stage. They're doing freestyle and Greco. So my point being is, that's the context I took it. I think he used Carter, I can't even say Strackley. I can't pronounce his last name, but he just won his 5th world national title Penn State.
Which is crazy work.
Which is dope.
The first of?
Yeah, he was the first one to win 5. But my point being is, there's a lot of national champions who've wrestled, who fought. Yeah.
See, that's why I'm saying, like, if he was saying that, what you saying, then yeah, that's definitely false.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, nigga, that's literally how the UFC got created, is off a lot of collegiate, national, you know what I'm saying, wrestlers, like, Dan Severn, you know what I mean?
Dan Severn, the other...
What's the brother?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think.
Schultz?
Yeah.
Mark Schultz.
So,
yeah, that'd be false, but I think he talking about literally, like, the best.
Kevin Randleman fought. Mm-hmm. You got Josh Koscheck who won the national title.
Yeah, MMA was built off these niggas.
But it's like a ton of...
I know, exactly.
A bunch of D1 All-Americans, like...
100%. So that's why I don't think he talking about them.
But that's what he
got to know that. He got to know that. That don't make no sense. You don't think he know that?
I think he might know it. I don't think he is relevant in his mind because he's thinking of his class. You know, he's thinking of the group of guys he wrestled with and how far they made it and if they could. And I'll tell you even why I disagree even further, regardless of what he's talking about. And we spoke about this at some point. I watched the NCAAs, and, you know, I don't watch sport wrestling regularly, like, like I did when I was actually...
Back in the day, yeah.
Back when I was wrestling. And then, I saw what college wrestling is today. And it's something that I talk about all the time, which is a great topic for another video, too. MMA wrestling and sport wrestling is so different. Mm-hmm. It's such a different thing. And I think that's what makes the discrepancy. When you find somebody like Bilal Muhammad was not nearly the collegiate wrestler of Kamar Usman. I know he wrestled D2, and then you had Kobe Covington. But he wrestled better against Leon Edwards than either one of those two guys. Mm-hmm. You have GSP, who wrestled multiple national multiple national champions, Johnny Hendricks, and both Josh Koscheck. He fought multiple All-Americans, and he was taking them down. There's no way if he put on a singlet.
Jay Shields was a crazy one too.
Yeah, All-American. But my point is, it's not like if he put on a singlet, he's going to beat John Fitch. That wasn't going to happen. He wasn't going to beat Josh Koscheck. He for damn sure wasn't going to beat Johnny Hendricks. It's a different game. Once you can punch somebody in the face, a lot of that shit go out the window. We talked about Dober in that position in another video. Like, you can't do some of the stuff. And some of the stuff you see, like, I don't know if you saw Gable Stevenson. He lost.
I seen it. Yeah, the biggest upset of all time. Yeah.
But, like, my point is, it wasn't like the other dude really wrestled much better. He caused stalemates in positions in MMA. Like, you would just get hit in the face. It wouldn't be no stalemate.
Right. You
would just get past, or jiu-jitsu would happen. And I think that's what some of the guys who are so good at wrestling don't realize. Yeah. And I think Bo Nickal might. We'll see what happens against him and DeRitter in the next fight. That it's just a completely different game.
100%.
It's not the same. Right. Bo Nickal is way better than anybody who will ever faced in MMA at pure wrestling, most likely. But the game just doesn't work that way. Yeah, you can get submitted. I saw a guy talking about, jujitsu, and it's the same with wrestling. Once you could get punched in the face and kicked in the face, a lot of that shit just go out the window.
Shit.
Like,
Needing your shit.
You can't just sit in positions and wrestle. You'll see a position where a guy will be almost taken down. He'll just grab the heel of somebody, and he'll be holding it, and he'll cause a stalemate. MMA, I'm punching you in the face.
Right.
Like that, you're not gonna cause a stalemate in that position.
Right.
They're specifically good in certain positions and certain wrestling metrics that just will never translate to MMA. And I think that's why you don't see some of the success of some of the guys that we mentioned versus everyone else.
Right.
And I think why you've seen some of the Russian guys do better because they do sambo.
Exactly. It's overall.
They're not better grapplers, but they mix submission, grappling, and striking early.
Striking, yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So and I know with all that being said, I definitely agree with you. And that's why it's sad because Bo Nickal has all the ability to be great, but because he only thinks that his one discipline is going to take him so far, that's why he's not going to be great. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, like you said, it's two different sports, bro. This is solely the fight business, right? The fight game. You have to demonstrate all your tools, all your weapons. And with that being said, like you cannot be a one-dimensional fighter. Like you could do that on the lower regionals and do that on the Dana White Contender Series, find a couple of bums to fight, and you can just hold them and shit like that, or be able to strike with another goofy-ass motherfucker that can't strike, right? But when you talk about somebody like we speaking about before that's coming from the one, right, who's dynamic, who is good, well-rounded, you know what I'm saying, who is powerful too, right, with kicks and with punches, and got a good ground game. Like, now you're going to really see, like, what this game is about. But with that being said, it's just like, as well, if you take that same level of worth ethic from wrestling and then put it into becoming a mixed martial artist, I do believe some of these guys, you know what I mean, like a Jordan Burroughs, like a Gable Stevenson, like, they could but I don't think them niggas really want to do that, though, you know what I'm saying, because they done already made their position where they at. But if you have somebody like that, they could be a problem if they really wanted to transition overall to MMA, you know? Could you imagine a Jordan Burroughs fighting at 170? That'd be crazy, you know? But you can't just rely on your wrestling solely. That's not what that is.
And I agree exactly what you're saying. I just think that wrestlers are already doing a really good job. I don't think that it's like, oh, we're not winning world titles in MMA because we're not getting some of the best crop of talent. I think we're not winning world titles just because MMA has just evolved past a lot of that. And then a lot of, like, you take Ben Askren. Ben Askren was really, really good. And I think if he came to the UFC sooner, but you saw Robbie Lawler just suplex him, like just slam on his head. Yeah. If it's a real wrestling match, that's not going to happen. Robbie Lawler probably would have just been controlled and some funk and jerk would have happened. He started beating the shit out of Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler started beating the shit out of him with punches. You just can't get away with certain stuff that you can do in an actual wrestling match. So,
well, you know what they say, man, there's levels to everything.
Yeah, of course.
And just to see that type of level of wrestling, the only place that we seen it was Henry Cejudo, but you still seen what happened to Henry Cejudo against who? Right? Merab.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's another great example.
Yeah, no, there is, you know.
And my point being is, you won't find a bunch of better collegiate wrestlers than Ben Askren, though.
No, that's 100%. No, he's one of the best. Yeah,
that's my
go down in
but
Mizzou. Yeah,
also, like, as I said, Ben Askren wasn't like an amazing takedown guy in college.
Right,
he was a scrambler. He was a funkin' junk dude. Like, when you go, and which does help in jiu-jitsu and scrambles and stuff like that, but it's like, what skill set do you bring to MMA that translate from your sport wrestling? The same thing with striking, right? It's like, it has to translate. Like judo, we've talked about it before. I think judo is a great martial art, but it's really hard. You don't have a gi or whatever, whatever you call it, and you're not going to just grab somebody. It's very difficult for people to implement a high level. When you think about really, really high level judokas, there's not been very many of them who's transitioned and been world champions. It's not that judo isn't effective. It's just a very specific niche rule set. If somebody doesn't want to clinch with you, how to use judo?
Right.
It's far more effective to shoot underneath and cause somebody to clinch. Like, if you can't do that, which you don't have to shoot double legs or single legs in judo, you're not going to be able to implement that strategy. So my point is, it's not that, like, you're not getting good judokas coming to MMA.
Right. Because you got Olympians that came in. Yeah.
And, you got Marco Madsen. I think he's a bronze medalist as well. It's just the fact that it's just really hard to implement a pure wrestling strategy.
True.
It's really difficult when you got everybody doing everything. And then the guys who tend to be the best MMA wrestlers, I hate to say it,
don't even use it.
But they don't even come from a wrestling background.
Oh, okay. You said the ones that got the best wrestling in there?
Rob came from Sambo. He's double-legging everybody, putting everybody on their back. You got GSP and wrestle a day in his life, and he's one of the greatest. You consider him we consider him one of the greatest MMA wrestlers. So it's like, I think Merab said he wanted to do judo. That was like his thing before, and they changed his style, judo or sambo or something, and whatever. He didn't come from a traditional pure wrestling style, and he's using wrestling just as good as anybody. I don't care what you say. If him and Cejudo wrestled a pure wrestling match, Merab's gonna get tagged. It's not gonna be close. It's just when you can throw punches and kicks and there's submissions, it's just a completely different game.
Yeah, just different game, you know.
Thank you for watching another episode of Brick Brothers Podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, be a brick.